Hi guys, this is Toon from Board Game Sanuk, a board game content creator from Thailand. Today, I'm going to tell you about a new game. This game is a game for 2 to 6 players. Playtime around 40 to 90 minutes. It's a battle royale game with post-apocalyptic theme. In this game, you will get to play as hybrid animals fighting against each other to take control of certain resources and use many skills and weapons for their own advantages. If you think it sounds exciting, let's see what BARBARIC has to offer. In the near future, the human's energy source will eventually deplete, so an alternative must be either built or discovered soon. Eventually, humanity is successful in building an atomic core. However, they do not know the severe side effect that is going to happen later. Time passes by for several years. Radioactivity from these atomic cores is slowly absorbed by human bodies, which cause dysfunction in reproductive system and premature deaths. Furthermore, these atomic cores accelerate the global warming at an astonishing pace. Sudden flooding happens everywhere from the melting of polar ice caps. As a consequence, humanity ceased to exist. What remains is just ruins of inventions and technologies of once prosperous civilization. Still, those atomic cores continue to burn with no sign of stopping. The radioactivity, which is proven lethal to humans, instead causes rapid evolution in exposed animals. Their DNA mutates from generation to generation until they become sentient beings with instinct embedded in their minds, called barbaric. A war breaks out between different barbaric factions, struggling for survival in the first period under this evolution. Surviving barbaric scatters to find new homes all over the globe. They discover the remains of human civilization, which later will be modified in several ways, including new form of vehicles known as the gear, or even repair their own bodies damaged from the horrific war. These atomic cores are still essential to the barbaric. Each clan is in need of these cores, which are scattered all over the world to expand their own territory in this flooded world. Therefore, they train their own warriors to accomplish this task. They are called the Rider, whose main missions are to scavenge for resources for their own clan and to expand their territory via acquisition of human-created atomic cores. The war is far from over, but this time, for a different reason, is for the resources. In this game, each player will get to control a rider and the gear. 2 to 6 players will get to control a rider and a gear. Then, your objective is that, for a player, is that you have to take your rider to the space with the atomic core token, and then grab the atomic core token and take it with you outside of the board, and then you will win the game. Very easy. But there is another way to win this game as well. If you don't think that you have the capability to grab and steal the atomic core token, you can try to kill another player. You can try to eliminate another player twice. You can even eliminate the same player twice. It doesn't have to be different riders. So, that is how you win this game. Next, let us look at the flow of this game. So, the game is played in rounds. I hope you get that, right? The game is played in rounds. So, in a round, each player will get to do their things separately, individually in their turn, and after every player gets to do their turn, then the round ends and move to the next round. The interesting part is that there will be daytime round and nighttime round. So the daytime round, the event, we will use the dawn event, the daytime event. But for the nighttime round, we will use the twilight or nighttime event. So that gives like a little bit of replayability or some variability to the gameplay. And after every night round ends, there will be a monster phase. In this phase, monster minions will move around and try to do nasty things to you. So you have to be very, very careful after the night round ends. Okay, so let us look at the structure of each round. So in each round, there will be 4 phases. The first phase is event phase. This phase is very simple. You just draw an event card from the deck and then you check if it's daytime or if it's nighttime. If it's daytime, you apply the yellow text event. If it's nighttime, twilight, you apply the purple text event. You can mark with this token to remind you that it's daytime or nighttime. And after the event phase, there will be player phase. So the player phase is that each player will get to do their turn separately, starting from first player. There will be 3 sub-phases for each player. The first sub-phase is preparation phase. So this phase is optional. You can do the preparation phase or not, it's up to you. But if you choose to do the preparation phase, there are 2 things that you can do. Firstly, you can spend a resource to do something to gain some effect. So, for example, if you spend the oil resource, you will get to move your rider 1 space. Okay, let's move to the atomic core, right? Or you can spend a steel resource to draw skill cards to your hand, so you can have more skill cards to play in the future. Or you can spend the supply resource to remove cooldown tokens from your skill, which will be explained later. Okay? Or you can choose not to spend any resource, and then you can learn or upgrade a skill card from your hand. So now, this is a very important part of the game because without skill cards, you will not be able to do anything. Now, there will be certain skill cards with resource symbols on the upper left. You can see here, right? On the upper left. Okay, so which means that if you want to learn this skill card, you have to pay the corresponding resource. So, for example, this one requires oil, so I have to spend 1 oil, to play it in front of me. Now, there will be skill cards for the rider, and there will be skill cards for the gear. I suggest that you place them on the correct spot so you know that this skill card is a rider's skill card, this skill card is a gear skill card, so we will not be confused because it's quite important to remember that. Now, as I told you, preparation phase is optional. You can choose not to do the preparation phase as well. Because if you do the preparation phase, for example, if I learn a skill card, then every other player will get to learn the skill card too, like right after I learn this card. Or if I spend a resource to do something, every player will get to do the same thing as well after I spend the resource. So you have to be very strategic. You have to be careful whether you want to let them do what you're going to do or not. That's the preparation phase. Now let's move to the second phase, second sub-phase, action phase. Now action phase is very important. Basically, what is action phase? In action phase, you can spend your stamina tokens to do actions of your rider or your gear. Let's start with the gear action, okay? So, for example, move. The first action you can do is move. So you flipped your stamina token, and then you get to move your rider 1 space. Aha! Simple. Now, secondly, maintained. So maintain is basically healing your gear. So you just flipped your cooldown token, stamina token again, and then you can discard up to 5 skill cards from your hand, and then you get to heal any damages received in the past up to the number of cards you discarded. Very simple, huh? And thirdly, gear activate skills. If you want to do this action, you must have already learned some gear skill cards in the preparation phase. Maybe this preparation phase or earlier preparation phases, whatever. As long as you have skill cards learned in front of you. So, for example, I want to use Shark Rocket. Now, what I have to do, I just flipped the stamina token and put it on this card and use the text of the action card right away. Just that. And that's it for the gear action. Now let's move to the rider action. The first rider action that you can do is search. So if you want to do search, likewise, you just flip the stamina token. And why would you search? So basically, in a board, there will be many spaces, right? Many hexagons. In most of them, there will be the resource symbol on the upper top of the hexagon, right? Oil, supply, steel, question mark. So now, if you do a search action on the oil symbol space, then you receive 1 oil for free. Convenient. But if you do the search action on question mark symbol space, you will get to roll a die, and then you get whatever shown on the die. For example, like I get supply here. Simple. There will be some spaces with 2 question mark, which means that you get to roll twice and receive twice the resource tokens. That's the search action. Very important if you want to get the resources for future plans. Now, second one. This one is just very similar to the counterpart, to the maintained one. This one is first aid. So you can discard up to 5 cards from your hand, and then you get to heal damages received up to the number of cards you discarded. And thirdly, rider activate skill. Same logic. If you already have any learned rider skills in front of you, you get to spend your stamina token on it and use it right away. Now there's something really, really important that I haven't told you yet. So you can see the wheel here, right? Wheel here. On the wheel here, it's like a level of your rider and your gear. You'll start with only level 1. And you will have 2 helps and shields and only 1 energy and 1 stamina, which means that you're still very weak. But anytime you activate skill cards, you will get to dial up the wheel 1 step. It's like an experience gained. So the more you use your skill cards, the quicker you will level up. And when you level up, you will get more shields, which means more health. You will get more stamina tokens, energy tokens, so you can do more actions in the future. That's the action phase. So unlike preparation phase, if you do the action phase, other players will not get to do the action phase right away after you. So don't worry about action phase. It's quite obligatory, quite mandatory. It's like the core of the game. So what's next? After the action phase is the upkeep phase. So basically, if you have spent all your cooldown tokens, I try to simplify by calling them cooldown tokens, but actually this is stamina token and energy token, okay? So if you have spent all of them, for example, you have spent all of them on skill cards, then you get to flip them up, and that ends the upkeep phase. But in the case that maybe in the future you have more energy tokens and you have spent only one, but you haven't spent another one, you still have unused energy token, you will not get to flip this one back right away, but you will get to draw a skill card if you have any unused token here. But if you have spent every token you have, then you will get to flip all of them to the unused side. It's like a restore cooldown, something like that. I hope that makes sense. So that's the upkeep phase for you. And then the monster and their minions will try to attack you. So let us look at the step on the monster board, okay? So on the monster board, firstly, you can follow along the monster phase here. So firstly, the monster action, you will get to draw one card and see what the monster, the big guy, will do. And then the minion action, all the minions, normally they will try to attack anyone nearby. But, you know, in the future, they might move too. And after that, we will respawn all the dead minions up to the number of the current player. So basically, if there are only 2 players right now, and there are 3 dead minions, we will restore only 2 of them on the spawn spaces, the red border spaces. So I'm not going to explain in detail how the monster move, but usually they will, you know, try to identify the player next to them and like try to attack that player, something like that. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so that's all. Those are all the phases for you. Now, what are more details that you need to know? So basically, you can look at the board too, right? There will be certain spaces with the immigration tokens here, the green tokens. If by any chance your rider is on the same space with the green tokens, then you can choose to do the free action, you know, choose to do the free action to save the immigrants. It will be like discovered immigrants, and there will be like a moral dilemma decision for you to make, like whether to save them or whether to kill them and receive some resources from them instead. So just some nice addition to the gameplay. Okay, so I think what is important that you need to know now is how do we attack each other, right? So basically I have to say that everything is in the card. So basically if you want to attack anyone, you will see that you will not have any attack actions at the beginning of the game. You will have only like moving around, searching, and gaining resources. You will not have any actions to do anything to anyone, which means that you have to understand, you have to have a good understanding of your skill cards in order to be able to know how to deal damages to other players. So I think it's better that we let us look into the details, the structure of a skill card of maybe my character right here. Let's do it. Okay, now so to give you a better understanding of how a rider and a gear works, we are going to have a close-up looking on the player board. So as I've told you before, right, for for the rider board, we have the rider action, right? Search, first aid, rider active skill, and we have their own wheel, stamina, right? Don't forget to set it up at 1 at the beginning. And the same for the gear, right? We have the wheel, we have the list of actions they have. Okay, so yeah, same thing. Don't forget to put it to 1, okay, at the beginning. Okay. And then we will have two separate skill cards for the gear and for the rider. So you can see that there are three types of symbol here. For example, this one has some course on the upper left. This one doesn't have any course on the upper left. It has like an N symbol on the upper right. And for this one, it's like a circle inside a circle. Okay, so these are 3 types of skill cards. As I've told you, in the preparation phase, you can learn a skill card, but only skill cards with the resource on the upper left. It's like a weapon or skill that you can learn and put it on the board next to you. But the other types of skill cards are like a one-time use. It's like if you have played enough card games, you know, there's like a reaction or like ultimate skills that you can use only one time, but at a specific time under specific conditions, something like that. Okay, hope that makes sense. And then the same for the gear skill cards. You can see, right? Upper left and upper right symbols. Similarly, at the beginning of the game, you will get to choose 2 cards from each deck. So basically, you get 2 rider skill cards, any skill cards you want. So at the beginning of the game, you get to read everything and then choose 2 out of around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, 2 out of 10 cards. So you can like plan your strategy beforehand. And then you choose 2 from gear. You choose 2 from rider. Then you put it in your hand. And then you put it in your hand. And the rest you shuffle. And maybe put them here. Okay. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to put the stamina tokens. So why it's set up like this? So why do we have only 1 stamina tokens and energy token? So because the wheel, you can see that the wheel, on the wheel, it shows that on the level 1, you will have 1 stamina and 2 health, which means that rider can absorb 2 damages, and we have only 1 stamina. But once you use the rider active skill, as I've told you, you will get to level up, and you will get to die up the wheel until it reaches the end. Well, if it reaches the end, you will get to just receive a skill card and keep doing that. Okay, let's go back. So, as I've told you, we're going to look at the basic of the skill cards. So, let me change. Okay, so for example, the skill card is called Electric Snare Interruption. Just mean that, and there will be like the range and the target of the skills. For example, this means like 2 spaces from the space. It's like deal 1 damage to any target and randomly discard 1 card from their hand. If they can't discard, take 1 additional damage. 2 ranges from you. Like, which means that, for example, if your character is here, you can do damage to minions here because it's 2 spaces away, something like that. Let us look at other skills in the deck. Headshot Okay. So headshot, for example, headshot says like a tree range in a line, okay, in a straight line. So it says that you deal 1 damage to the first target in range, but if the target is within at least 3 spaces, increase 1 damage, which means that the further it is, the better. So for example, if my character is here, and I try to shoot at this character, then it will be 1, 2, 3 spaces away in a straight line, and he's the first monster, he's the first enemy in the range, then he will receive 2 damages. Oh, have I told you that the minions, all the minions will have only 1 health at the beginning of the game. So which means that you just do 1 damage and they will die. And anytime that you kill the minion, you will get 1 resource by rolling the blue die, and then you will get 1 free resources right away, like a bonus. So here comes the most important question. What are my thoughts on this game? What do I think about Barbaric? Now, firstly, I have to say that the presentation is really amazing. I mean, look at the miniatures on the board, look at the components, look at the resources, look at the cards, the arts, everything screams perfection. So I have to say that the production quality here is very high, and I enjoy them very much, very much. The first point is the presentation. And the second thing I like about this game is the modular boards for each character. I mean, you can mix and match the rider and the gear, which is a very interesting thing, to say the least. I mean, there are so many possible combinations. You can think about other games such as Sight, which has similar system that you can mix and match the different player boards, and you can mix and match the different riders and gears. Well, as a result, you have a very, very interesting combination. You have a very interesting mixture of rider skills and gear skills. But at the same time, I have to say that I haven't played the game as often as I like to. I mean, I have played it 3 times, and so far I think the balance is pretty good. But if you have played it frequently enough, you might found certain bugs or certain loopholes stem from the fact that you can combine the riders and gears in any combination you want. I mean, that happened inside. It hasn't happened in Barbaric yet, but I'm not sure if you will find it in the future or not. I believe that the publisher, the designer, will make sure that the system is polished before it's being released, before we see the final version of the product. Now let's hear about things that I'm not very excited. I mean, this game requires repeated plays. I mean, if you play it in the first time, like, you will end up like not doing much, I have to say. I mean, according to my experience, three plays. I have played 3 times, right? It takes longer than the play time printed on the box. I mean, I remember that it took like 2 to 3 hours for 4 players, something like that, and we kind of thought that it could have ended faster. Maybe it could have ended faster. Maybe the playtime can be shortened. But I think that's maybe that also has something to do with the play style of the group as well. I mean, if you're very careful, you know, if you really well-planned person and try to calculate every move, then it can take a pretty long time, you know. But I think like that completely depends. That completely depends. I mean, 2 to 3 hours doesn't sound that bad anyway, right? So maybe you don't find it an issue like me. So I think that's probably it for today. By the way, this video will not be possible without the sponsor by Hexa House, the publisher of BARBARIC. So if you find this game interesting, exciting, intriguing enough for you, then please try giving it a support on Kickstarter soon. Thank you for watching and see you again next time. Bye bye.